Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of At the Movies with William Fletcher. As usual, I am your host, William Fletcher, and he hath returned after a couple of weeks off.
The king
Is
has
Mr. Harry
returned.
Jobson?
The king has returned.
He is back this week. We're doing an episode tying into the upcoming release of Wish. We're doing a Disney episode, and we've chosen four films to be covering for this week's episode. So Snow White and the Seven Dwarves, Aladdin, The Emperor's New Groove, and Moana. That's what we're going to be talking about in today's episode.
Just to touch on that as well. The Emperor's New Groove was my input. It's not a very popular Disney film because it's not really a musical. Kind of flew under the radar, and it almost wasn't made like a few times. It was consistently reworked and rescheduled and put off and cancelled and uncancelled. And then they were just like, all right, we're just going to make a really short, funny film. Well, not really short, but it's only like an hour and a half.
It's I checked. It's like 1 hour, 18 minutes or something.
Yeah,
like
so
it's like less than 90 minutes.
Yeah, so it's like, it's like an 80-minute film, but it's my favorite Disney film. So
and I sort of the other three I chose Snow White because it was the first one, and I think is one of the most important films ever made, if I'm being like completely honest. Then I chose Aladdin because I wanted to pick one from the sort of Renaissance era in the 90s when Disney was just the biggest, was one like massive. And then Moana is sort of probably the most. No, I'd say Frozen's arguably more. Well, I think Moana is probably the best of the 2010 sort of era. Yeah, Frozen is much bigger, but also much weaker in my opinion. I think Moana. Well, we'll get on it, but I think Moana get onto it later. But Moana, I think, is much better. But so Disney, I had a massive childhood. I grew up with two older sisters who love Disney, so Disney has just been a thing that I've been exposed. I've seen a lot of Disney over the years, and so yeah, Snow White. I rewatched it for the purposes of this because I had not seen it in a long time, like a really long time. I couldn't remember the last time I'd seen it, to be honest.
I've never seen it. Well, I now have seen it, but I had never seen it.
Wow. I mean, are you like a big Disney fan in general? Like,
no.
Or are you just sort
so
of
out of the Renaissance, like the Disney films, like the sketch animation Disney films, I've seen The Emperor's New Groove, The Lion King, and The Lion King, and now Snow White and Aladdin. But I hadn't seen Aladdin before either.
That's crazy.
I know, like, obviously it's very culturally important, but I just grew up like with DreamWorks. DreamWorks is my shit.
Yeah, I mean that's like a common, like, are you a DreamWorks, like, did you grow up with DreamWorks films, or did you grow up with with fucking Disney films?
I think my parents just preferred. I think my parents just like preferred to have DreamWorks on as they're funnier. They pander to a more adult audience as well. Like they can, whereas like I'm not saying
I
think obviously
I think more so, yeah.
I think Aladdin also, like when you take things like Aladdin or Mulan. I know I haven't seen Mulan, but I know that it's also got Eddie Murphy in it.
But yeah, Snow White and Seven Dwarves, very, very iconic. I think it's okay. I think it's a decent film, but I definitely think like it's a film I respect more than I enjoy.
Yeah, that was the same with me.
Because it's a decent film. I think there's a decent amount to it. Like I think it's in terms of how the animation looks, I think that's aged remarkably well for a film from 1937, like nearly 90 years old, and it still looks, pretty damn good for that, But it's definitely not like one of Disney's best or anything. Like, I've seen a lot more Disney than you have. The only Disney films like that I have not seen are like sort of the ones they made during like World War II and that, which were sort of like weird anthology type films. I haven't seen those yet, but I've seen like I think about 50 or so of Disney films, like so a majority of them. But I really think there isn't like much to say about Snow White, just because I think Disney as a studio has advanced so much more since then, you know?
Yeah, I agree as well. I think that it's interesting my relationship with Disney being that I really don't care about it at all. Like I don't have one, but but that in itself is a
Mhm.
relationship with something. I mean, I just every time I watch a new Disney film, I'm like, yeah, this is a good film. I'm not going to watch it again. Especially the older ones, I just do not care for. Like even when they've
Mm.
been put on around me, I just go, no, I'll just go on my phone. Like I don't. I want something that uh, I struggle with the older themes. And Snow White is obviously very like what prince. Like, I know I'm not trying to be like fucking cinema sins here. Don't get me wrong, and I understand it's like plot of the film. But what prince is like
Yeah.
dead princess? I'm gonna just give her a smooch. Like you know what I mean? But
No,
not
I totally get what you no, I get what you mean. I did have a guest on a while ago, and we sort of talked about this sort of kind of thing, and I think it's definitely we were talking about that as sort of a yeah, how it's a lot of people talk about sort of Disney films dating a bit, in terms of like how
culturally.
yeah, how like this would be, and the sort of they're doing a remake of Snow White, which has got all kinds of controversy around it for, I would
Yeah,
say, relatively dumb reasons. Like I don't think Rachel Zegler's that bad a person, and she seems to have just be getting a lot of shit for no reason, to be honest. But I think that there's like it's definitely interesting going back to these films because it's like, this isn't a this is different. Like I feel like nowadays films would be sort of more consciously like, do we want to do that, or do we want to like not? Back in 1937, it was not
the
really the
question.
same thing. Yeah, it was a bit of a different thing.
But I mean,
Um,
that's not the greatest example of what I'm trying to convey, although it is still a good one. But it's more so I just
mm.
don't care about fairy tales. I know that's very Shrek of me, but like like Cinderella and Belle and the Beauty and the Beast and Snow White
Sleeping Beauty,
and
and
even
yeah,
Frozen to an extent. And yeah, fucking Sleeping. Like I just it's probably my least favorite genre of story.
fairy tales.
I think it's so weak, and I think it's really like it's just not a interesting topic at all. A
Well, because
Cinderella and
yeah,
the
I think
shoe fit, and it was happily ever after. And I'm like, the original Brothers Grimm stories are kind of cool, whereas these are just like
mm,
I don't know. They're the fair like they feel like they've only been made not to spread wonder and imagination, but to sell backpacks and lunchboxes. I just Disney especially as well, like it being specifically Disney being like the largest media corporation ever, kind of makes it
mm,
like cringe. But I know
mm,
basically the the big man boy version of fairy tales is superheroes. Superheroes are distinctly human, and there's something about it, like they deal with like real struggle and shit. This
mhm.
chick just liked a guy, lost a shoe, got the shoe back, and got married. Like, went in a big onion. But she was poor. And it's like, cool. Hey,
Mm,
ladies, this is how you escape poverty. Marry a rich guy. Like, and Snow White, like, her stepmom just didn't like her.
mm,
Tried to kill her. Didn't really
yeah,
work out. And then there were seven dwarves as well. I never really got the seven dwarves, or though I do like the hi ho, it's off to work. I think that's a fucking tune. I love that.
yeah, yeah. No, I definitely think. I mean, I don't, have a whole lot to say about this film just purely because, like, it's one of Disney's least interesting films. I think it's
It's dry.
decent and everything, but it definitely just isn't quite the same as
That
a lot of other Disney films, i.e., the ones we're going to talk about
that being said, I'm still
momentarily.
gonna give it a 7 because just out of
Mm.
pure respect of like what it is.
Yeah, no, I give it a 7 as well. I think it again, I respect it more than I enjoy it as like a film. I definitely think there's a lot about it that I do think the songs are still pretty decent. The animation I think is very great for that time. Because Disney, they've been doing animation, but animation is short films. They're like 20-minute shorts. This was like I think one of the first films to be like an animated feature film. So you have to sort of give it credit there. But this is like mid tier Disney. Like this is a Disney film that I don't see myself wanting to rewatch unless I was to do like a full watch through of everything Disney's made. But I give it a 7 as well. But yeah, I there's not much to say about it. Then we
Well,
move on to Aladdin.
Aladdin.
And so this was the first time you'd seen this one
This is the
as
first time I'd
well.
ever seen Aladdin, yes.
All
Not even
right.
like in class back fucking years ago. Like, no, this is the first
Yeah.
time.
What did you think of it?
I really liked it for what it was. There were,
Hmm.
like, I liked it for a very specific reason. This
Was
really
that Robin
felt like,
Williams?
well, yeah, Robin Williams. But not just that, like, obviously Robin Williams, giving him a medium where he can literally be any shape or anything
Yeah.
is the most phenomenal idea anyone has ever had. But not just that,
Yeah.
but also like, oh, his performance is fucking amazing. But like, and I guess Will Smith was good in the live action one. I don't know, but I really liked the idea that it was like it was less just about I don't like my steps. Like it actually had a plot.
Yeah. It's well, I think Aladdin is I think it might be based off something, but it's not like a direct like The Lion King is like loosely based off Hamlet. But I think Aladdin and the Magical Lamp is a Middle Eastern folk tale. Okay, so that's what Aladdin is based off of. Yeah, I think Aladdin is one of Disney's best films.
Yeah, it's up there.
Like very, but it's a bit slow. And then when Robin
Oh,
Williams comes in as the genie, then it just is firing on all cylinders,
that's
and
all I
it's
was
it's
waiting for the whole time. I'm like, genie, 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 give me genie.
because the first I don't know because he's introduced because this film's only like 90 minutes long, and he is introduced relatively early, but it's still like a good 15-20 minutes I think. And so, did you know the story of how they cast Robin Williams in this?
No.
So basically, what they did was they took some of Robin Williams' stand up and just animated that,
Oh yeah, I think
and
I
were
did
just
hear
like,
about that. That's actually quite
and they were
cool.
just like, oh, that works, yeah. And a lot of like they just would let Robin Williams go off and improv for fucking hours, and
I
just
mean,
for
you kind
like,
of
we'll
have
just cut
to.
this down to the best 90 minutes. And I think it worked. I think this is one of Robin Williams' best performances,
It's up there.
like in his entire career. Not the best,
It's not
mind, but I
Goodwill
think it
Hunting.
is.
It's not Dead Poet Society.
But I think it's it's a fantastic vocal. It's one. I honestly think it's probably one of my favorite just vocal performances. In anything. And I think Robin Williams is just. Was an incredible talent. I don't think I've ever seen Robin Williams in something and not thought he was great in it.
Yeah,
Even in like lesser films, I think Robin Williams is always, you could always count on him to give you a good performance. Yeah,
he's
but I
part of a
think
specific breed with that as well. Sorry, but it's him and Jim
mhm,
Carrey. I think. Like I can't think of anyone else at the moment that really can do that.
where you can just let them go for hours and they can just come up with.
Produce, just come up with greatness. Like there's no.
Mm,
I'm trying to think of people that you can just go. All right, go stand in that booth for. You get the booth for 5 hours. Just
yeah,
or you get the bloody. Here is a loose description of a scene, not a loose description. Here is a script, but
yeah.
do what feels right.
I mean, I guess that's sort of like what Adam McKay does, like for Anchorman and stuff, where he just sort
Yeah,
of. But that's also like a group of actors improving together,
and
as
it's not
opposed
as
to just.
outlandish. Like it's outlandish. Don't get me wrong. Anchorman is not based in reality at all. But like,
But it's not quite the same thing because it's also they've got like a set, like Robin Williams is doing this in a booth, like he's able to just improv hours of material based off of not, he's just in a booth by
Yeah.
himself, and he's able to just come up with all this, incredible material. And he fell out with Disney. Actually, I don't know if you heard that had a falling out with Disney because of the marketing of the film. Because he wanted to do the film so he could be in a film his kids could watch, because he'd primarily done like more sort of adult
Yeah,
orientated
like Good
films
Morning
that they
Vietnam and stuff, yeah.
and he wrote it. He had like his contract. He had it so that the genie couldn't be used as like that much in the marketing, like, and it could only take up like 30% of the post or something. Like he basically that he wouldn't be overtaking the sort of
The Aladdin, yeah.
yeah, he was like, yeah, he can be on the poster, but he can't be like a majority of it. And he wrote this all into his contract, and then Disney, they just did everything that he didn't want them to do, and then he fell out, and so then they did like some direct to DVD sequels, and he wasn't involved in that. They did a TV show, and he wasn't involved in that. Like he didn't do any
Yeah.
of those because they pissed him off, which seems like a terrible idea, because it's like Robin Williams, he's a big deal, and I think this was like when Robin Williams was like the biggest, and I think it's just really annoying, and they couldn't use his voice for merchandise or marketing, or like to market products at all. Yeah, but I mean beyond just Robin Williams, because we've been talking about Robin Williams a bit, but I think all the voice acting in this is really great. Like, I think this is a really good ensemble of, well, voice actors primarily. It's not like sort of modern animated films where they get like a celebrity in, which I think is a massive detriment to animated films. I think DreamWorks is a big when I think because DreamWorks did this more, but they did it like when they did it for Shrek,
Yeah.
or when, but they like Shrek's an example of choosing like good like celebrities to voice the characters, and I think a lot of studios have learned the wrong lessons from that. What do you think of the music and like the songs in
I thought it
this?
was good. Like you got the one at the beginning, which is Arabian Nights, isn't it?
Arabian Nights, yeah,
And
yeah.
then you've got obviously that and Whole New World are like the big uns. So I don't know. I'm probably thinking. I thought it was good. I did think it was great, but I it wasn't my favorite. But that wasn't the reason
Mhm.
why I loved the film.
What like why did you like? What about the film? If the music wasn't, did you love
I, d-
most about the film that
I
helped?
I liked how it was just different. I liked how it wasn't come save the prince. It was come save the princess, but it was like come save the prince. But it was also like it was like teamwork. It was like fucking all the characters felt like they were actual characters, and the princess was like had her own decision making and like wasn't just asleep in the woods. Like you've got
Hmm.
I don't know. There's something about like the characters felt proper, and it's one of the closest ones I've seen to Emperor's New Groove. And it's funny. The most important thing is it's funny. I can watch it and not be like, and not feel like I'm watching a fairy tale and it's like boring. I never felt well. I felt bored at the beginning. I'll be honest, but other than that, it is a funny film that is engaging. That's what I liked about it. That's why it's like I'm giving it like an 8.
Yeah, I think I think the songs are very great. I think because it was done by Alan Menken did the music, and because Alan Menken, I'm a big fan of Alan Menken's work, and the guys who directed the film, they've done several Disney films. They did Moana, they did Princess and the Frog, Great Mouse Detective, Little Mermaids, Hercules, Treasure Planet. They've done all
Yeah,
these films, and I think, yeah, but I really think the music is the thing that sort of elevates it. So yeah, the music was done by Howard Ashman and Well, Howard Ashman pitched the idea for it, and then Alan Menken was the one who did the music because Howard Ashman passed away before the film got made. But they did Little Shop of Horrors, which was basically what got them like Little Mermaid and that.
yeah,
So I think, yeah, no, I think this is a very musically, like, this was when Disney was just releasing banger after banger. They had Aladdin, they had Lion King, Hercules. Little Mermaid was around this time. Beauty and the Beast. All these films are good to a very varying degrees, and Hunchback of Notre Dame as well, actually. And I'm interested. Like, do you like musicals? Like, are you like a fan of musicals or?
I'm not a fan of musicals. So I don't really watch. I like High School Musical. I like I like
But like Les Miserables, have you seen or
yeah. I'm just impartial to them. Like I'm just like they're on it. I'm like yeah. I mean I'll watch it, but I'm not watching something because it's a musical. I liked Hamilton. I liked Hamilton. I know that's like a stage performance, but it's still a musical.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm just
Right.
I don't again with musicals I'm somewhat impartial. Like a musical isn't what's going to make me like a film, but I won't hate it because
Mhm.
it's a musical.
Yeah, no, I know, I
Oh,
do
Tick
know
Tick Boom! I
people who.
loved Tick Tick Boom.
Oh, that is a good musical. Yeah, yeah. No, I'm a big fan of musicals in general, and I understand that like musicals aren't necessarily for everyone. But yeah, I mean, if you're impartial, then the music's probably not going to do as much for you.
Yeah,
Then
yeah. See,
if that's not your thing.
that's just it. It's like I can really appreciate great music in a film, but and
Hmm.
I think that Aladdin did have really good music, but like I didn't. Again, it wasn't like standout for me. All right, what would you give it
Yeah,
out of 10?
yeah, I'd give it an 8, a very strong 8, on the verge of being a 9. As I mentioned before, I find the opening 20 minutes or so, 10, 15, maybe 20 minutes even. Like basically everything before Robin Williams is just kind of like
Dry.
eh, purely because Robin Williams is just that energy. Like Robin Williams, I think you could slot Robin Williams into any movie, and I'm gonna like it just a little bit more because he's. And same with Jim Carrey. Just put Jim Carrey in any film, and I'm gonna love it more because Jim Carrey's in it. I think that's
Yeah.
what. And I think, and I don't really get that with a lot of actors, just in general. Like if you slot them into a film, I'm like 10 times more interested now because I think because Robin Williams and Jim Carrey are sort of, you don't really have people like that anymore. Like I like they're still great actors, but
The energy's
I don't
not
know. I
there.
think yeah, I think yeah, I mean, I don't think there's anybody on Jim Carrey's level right now as like a comedic performer. I think Jim Carrey is like a contender for the best comedic performer ever. Honestly, in
Yeah.
my honest opinion, I think and of course there's still great comedy being made, and there's still great comedic actors and everything. It's just Jim Carrey, and
Performance
Robin Williams
wise, yeah.
is on like another level. And I think Robin Williams, and I do appreciate that the remake of Aladdin didn't just try and redo Robin Williams' performance like they
Yeah.
did. It sort of was its own thing. Will Smith did his own thing. I appreciate that because you couldn't recreate Robin Williams' performance. It just was like
All time.
a performance you can't recreate, because so much of that is just Robin Williams just riffing for hours upon it on end, and you can't do that, like Will Smith is, has a lot of charisma and everything, but he's not a Robin Williams, but yeah, I give the original Aladdin an 8, a very very strong 8,
Yeah.
possibly could be bumped up to a 9 in the future.
And I agree with that.
Um,
I agree with the 8.
yeah, and then we move on to the Emperor's New Groove. And
Yep.
now I'm just gonna let you go because you're probably gonna just go on about how great this film, and I'm gonna for about 10 minutes or so. So I'm just gonna let you go because
I
you're the reason we're talking about this. So I'm just gonna let you go.
I am going to go on about how great this film is and why it is Disney's best. So, David Spade
All right.
can be mildly insufferable sometimes when you just hear him speak or in like the Benchwarmers, but
Mm-hmm.
I thought he was amazing in this film. I think he plays a really great 18-year-old brat. I think that the core concept of the film is hilarious. The fact that it got to that point. I think I can't remember the actor's name, but it goes go. Like Kronk in
Oh,
the film.
Patrick Warburton.
What Patrick Warburton? Yeah, I think he was the perfect choice for Kronk. He is fucking hilarious. He's the best part of
He's
he
so good.
he has his
He's
own spin-off
honestly one of my.
film and TV show.
I've not seen those, but
Yeah,
I'm aware of.
yeah, the second film is called Kronk's New Groove, but I think the idea, the themes around family and friendship are really important, and community and growing up and having proper morals. I think it has a great message. It's also fourth wall breaking, ahead of its time, incredibly funny. I've said that a couple of times, but it is like the scene where he like stops the whole movie to draw on the freaking whiteboard to like, he's like he's like, hold up, we're watching this guy, not this guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, growth of character. Yzma is unintentionally hilarious. We've seen the concept a million times. It's literally the point of Aladdin is the assistant who wants to be the boss. I think that it works really well here because you've got Kronk to balance out just the evilness. You have a Kronk. It's not just some bird.
Yeah.
Like Kronk is the visuals of this film, the environment is set in. There's maybe like actually four different settings of the film when you think about it. There's the palace, there's the jungle,
Mm-hmm.
there's the village,
Mm-hmm.
and then there's that one time when they're in the fucking where he's like in the farm. Like, oh, I guess you got like the lab, but it's part of the palace. But like
Yeah.
you got like the time where like Cusco's just like grazing in a farm. But yeah, the idea that like
Yeah.
Kronk gets it wrong when he makes his own theme music, it's all these little things in the film, or like when he's how like passionate he is about cooking, or the fact that he forgets which drink he put the poison in. Like something so simple, he could have just like not had that, and it would have been the same. But it's those things that make it really funny. You've got the whole Yzma giving a speech and being, well, he's not getting any deader, and then just full makeover. The fact that like when he's like that he can speak squirrel, squeak squeak squeak,
Mm.
squeak squeak squeaking. It's like fucking ridiculous. The final chase scene is one of the best I've ever seen. The whole, but the core concept, like I think the film hit the nail on the head with Kronk, but I feel like it suffers a bit from what I call meta syndrome, where it's like it's a character everyone loves in the first film. In the second film, they make it all about that character, and it ruins it. I call it meta syndrome because Cars 2 is just Meta's movie.
Probably why that film doesn't really work.
Yeah,
To be honest.
exactly. But you take like Emperor's New Groove, like it's a film I used to crack up watching as a kid. I can still put on at any time. I'll crack up watching now. The whole fact that there's just trampolines being delivered, like it's all just out loud. They just thought, yep, let's just have as much fun with this as possible, as long as it stays within the somewhat stays within the bounds of a story. Like the excessive
Yeah.
zooming out, it's like,
Yeah.
what's with the chimp and the bug? Like, ev- there's not a I can't think of a negative. The fact that it's not a musical, like I think works as well because it's got really great score. Like
Mm.
the chasing scene, the music to that, or even when the fact that they can see the lines that they're like the footsteps that they're running, and they can see it, and then when
Yeah.
they fall down the pit and they're in the lab before them, and they're like, "How did you get here?" And he pulls down the thing, and he's like, "By all accounts, it doesn't make sense." Like that is
Yeah.
hilarious. It's
I
genuine.
completely forgot. Yeah, what the context of that was. Like I'd seen it, and I was like, huh. I just forgot the context of him like pulling the thing down. Because I'm like, I definitely recognize that. I just forgot. Yeah, what
But
the.
I think everyone does a great job. I don't think it's too overcomplicated. It doesn't try to bring you into a world of fantasy. It's just good message, funny film.
I'm not that positive.
Oh,
I think it's there's a lot I forgot how funny it was because I hadn't seen this film in years. It's like it's a really funny film. I mean, I love Patrick Warburton in just everything, because he doesn't like he's like I don't think he has much range as a voice. Like he does the
he
same voice in
plays Patrick
everything.
Warburton. Yeah,
Yeah, like in Family Guy, he does the same voice. In The Venture Brothers, he does the same voice. In Emperor's New Groove, he does the same. He does the same voice, but his voice is just so interesting that it doesn't matter. He's like, "Oh, you're Alberta,"
Alberto.
whatever, Alberta.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's all coming together. It's just like, and I was just waiting for that moment where he says it because it's like, unironically, I think it's a great, like it's a great where he's like, where he's figuring all these things.
Yeah.
He's like very quickly figuring all these things. I'm like, oh mate, this is yeah. I think we've also got John. We've got John Goodman in this
Yeah.
as well. And again, I think John Goodman is really great. He's also again got a very unique. He's got a he's a celebrity, but like he's a good voice actor.
It's
You
a
know, when he did
distinct
Monsters
voice,
Inc. as
yeah.
well. It's a very distinct voice. Yeah, David Spade I think works very well. I just don't quite as much. I don't connect with it
Yeah.
in a way that I do with the other Disney film. I think, well, first of all, it's less than it's like 78 minutes long, and I do think it definitely loses out a bit on the sort of emotional side to it all, purely because it is that short. Like, if it was a like, I get what it's like because they've got sort of the beats and there's the character arc and everything, but it definitely feels to me like, okay, we're kind of everything sort of slowing down a little bit, or we don't quite have the time to get into everything and to have this
Yeah,
big emotional arc
I
that
see what
it's
you mean.
going for.
The whole part when they're like split up, like when they're mad at each other, the conflict before the
Yeah,
resolution, is literally like one scene of Cusco getting rained on and then they're friends again.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's sort of like they get back together and become friends again very, very quickly.
But I don't know.
Yeah, no.
There's just something. You threw off the Emperor's groove. Like I don't know. It's just iconic. That's what it like. I really like a film as a casual viewer. I really like a film
Mhm.
that I just don't even have to like care too much for. I can just watch and I know that I'm gonna be in for a laugh and it's gonna be good, fast paced, just fun.
Mhm.
And
I think this is one of Disney's funniest films.
I don't think there's a film that's funnier under their like Disney umbrella. If we're not talking like
Mhm.
Marvel, Star Wars, like this is the funniest by far.
I think even including those, I'd probably say it's funnier. I think just the jokes. I think this is like it's definitely it's very like as I mentioned before, it's definitely so much. It's a lot funnier than I like remember it being.
A good reason why the jokes are so timeless is because they don't make any references to anything. Like it doesn't reference any
Uh,
other work or any other thing. Like it's all self-contained humor.
yeah, no, it's sort of universal. Like it's not just it's not sort of making jokes about this. Like it's dialogue you could more or less slot into another film and it would work to some degree.
But
He was
we know my view on the film. I think just out of
yeah.
pure personal reasons and like the fact that I grew up with it and this is one of my favorite films ever because it's
Mhm.
so just it's not like junk food, it's not like fast food. It's like a home cooked meal but not like a you know what it is? This is the sausage sandwich. It's just fucking classic. It's there right when you need it. You know when you want one, that's all you really want. It's everyone loves it around a barbecue, but no, does it have the most depth of any meal? No, but it's not a Mac. It's not as bad as Macca's. It's iconic.
Well, I think that's it as well. This is not one of the Disney films I grew up with. Like I watched this sort of later on in life, and I definitely think that, and not to discount your opinion per se, but I think some Disney films, if you watch them as a kid and you grow up watching them, you'll love them more. I think that, like, I think some are sort of universal, like anyone can watch them and love them. But I think some of them you have to see as a kid. I think there's some films in general that like you have to sort of see as a kid, and if you grow up watching them as a kid, then that's sort of more why you love it. Not necessarily saying that you like that your
Yeah, I
feelings
understand
are sort of
the view.
less
Yeah,
valid for liking it, but I don't have any nostalgia attached to the film.
yeah. Well, I do. So
Um,
there you go.
I give it a. Well, also I want to talk about the animation. Actually, I think the animation looks very great. For it's 23 years old now, and I've seen some animated films from sort of more recently, and the animation doesn't hold up as well.
Yeah.
But I think this film holds up very well in terms of animation, and as you mentioned as well with the dialogue and the writing, it definitely holds up as well. But I give it a 7. And it has jumped into my 100 favorite animated films of all time, at 81 out of 100, which is, I mean, that's still pretty decent, I think, for 81 out of 100. Out of I don't keep track of how many I have seen, but I've seen a, a high number, so I think. But yeah, and then we move on to the final film of this week's episode, Moana.
What are your thoughts on Moana? I'm just going to ask you straight away. As a newer film, I think it came out 2015?
2016.
2016. What are your thoughts?
I think it's one of Disney's best in a long time. I think because sort of the 2000s for Disney was not a good time for Disney, just purely because, like, what did they even have during the 2000s? They had like Chicken Little. They had like fucking, what else did they even have? They had like Meet the Robinsons. They had like Treasure Planet, I think, was during that time. So they produced
Frozen.
61. Frozen was the 2010s. I'm talking about like the sort of 2000s era. So let's see what they released from like the 2000s. They released Emperor. So from like 2000 to 2009, they released Dinosaur, which I think is terrible. The Emperor's New Groove, which we just talked about. Atlantis: The Lost Empire. Lilo and Stitch. I need to watch that again, actually, because I think Lilo and Stitch is actually pretty decent.
Lilo and Stitch is phenomenal.
Treasure Planet, Brother Bear, Home on the Range, Chicken Little, Meet the Robinsons, Bolt, and The Princess and the Frog. So most of that's fairly average to weak. Like maybe 3 films I think are actually quite good in there. I think probably my favorite of those is like probably The Princess and the Frog. Maybe Lilo and Stitch. That's not a very good. And those are both like 7 out of 10 films. Like that's not good. That's not good for Disney. But yeah, I think Moana's a straight up banger. I think Moana is fantastic.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, I love it. I think The Rock is great in it. Like, I don't think you could have picked someone better, honestly. And that's just me saying I think a Rock's performance is great. I haven't said that since I watched The Tooth Fairy. So, I think, and I stand by that being The Rock's best performance.
The Tooth Fairy. When did that? 2010 that came out. Okay.
But yeah, The Rock was great in it. I thought all the music, the culture, the beautiful storytelling. I'm upset. Like, there's something really not appealing to me, but there's something that I really like about stories from the Pacific Island culture. I think it's incredibly interesting because it's all about connection with nature and the ocean, right? And I think this educated a large part of the Western world about a culture that is so gorgeous and a landscape that is so beautiful. I think the animation's phenomenal. That all the scenes shots are beautiful. I thought fucking Jermaine was hilarious.
Oh my god, Jermaine Clement. Yeah. I think this film is because Disney they haven't, like, Disney in general don't really tell as many stories about like non-Western cult. Like Mulan is about a non-Western culture.
Emperor's New Groove
to a degree, but I also think the culture isn't really a like, I think the culture in Moana is sort of more.
Yeah.
I think Coco. I mean, that's Coco is Pixar, but I think Coco does a really great job of showing Mexican culture.
It's weird. It's weird what Disney did, because Disney went from being all-time great to, during the 2000s, having a good film here or there, and then early 2010s great again, and then now they're just pumping out shit.
Yeah, like, let me just look at. So after they did The Princess and the Frog, they had Tangled, Winnie the Pooh, Wreck-It Ralph, Frozen. I mean, I like Frozen. I think Frozen's good, to be honest. Big Hero 6.
Oh,
Zootopia, Moana.
oh, that Zootopia, Moana, bloody Coco. Like I know Coco's Pixar, but like,
Yeah, I mean Zootopia and Moana came out the same year as well, like 2016. That's pretty good. And then after that, they had Ralph Breaks the Internet.
mm,
I'm not a fan. Frozen 2. I haven't seen it, but
mm,
everyone has told me it's shit. Raya and the Lost Dragon. I wasn't a big fan. Encanto, I thought was pretty good actually, and then Strange World, which I haven't actually seen. But you know Disney and because Wish, we're tying this into the release of Wish. There have been some people have seen Wish. It's got a 59% on Rotten Tomatoes, which is a bad rating. You know, 60% and higher is like a good rating on Rotten
yeah,
Tomatoes. Anything below 60%. So
yeah. I've
I do
heard
know some
terrible
people who
things.
have seen it. Yeah, I mean, I'm still interested to see it because I've heard a rumor that there is an Avengers style team up in it where a ton of different characters from previous Disney films are all in the film together, and it's like an Avengers assemble type moment, apparent allegedly. And I want to see that because it sounds so terrible, and I just want to
Yeah,
see like how it is because it sounds I mean, I also don't think the animation looks that good. It's like it's trying to do 2D, but it doesn't look like good 2D
yeah.
animation.
It's going off the fact that like Spider-Verse and Puss in Boots and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, they all have these very distinct animation styles. So they're like,
And I don't think it
well, we need to look
works.
less fucking bow-eyed. So let's just like,
Yeah, because I think Disney, you know, generally Disney looks like Disney animation, like sort of the more again Moana to talk about Moana. I think it looks incredible. You know, like the water, for example, like the water
yeah,
effects, like just the way they make the water look is fantastic. It's a beautiful looking film. You know, the water looks incredible. You know, and yeah, to sort of talk on the Rock. I've become somewhat tired of seeing the Rock in things because he's just in every single thing.
this was around the time where
But
he
I think
was literally in every single film too. Like this is like
yeah,
central
like I
into a
want to
lot of
just
things.
like yeah, I just want to look up the Rock and look at his filmography
Pretty sure
around
that
this
was
time because
2018,
he
like
was
2016 to 2018. The Rock went on an incredible run.
he just was in it just film after and he so 2016 he was in Central Intelligence and Moana. Then 2017 he was in The Fate of the Furious, Baywatch, Rock in a
Baywatch,
Hard
yeah.
Place, and Jumanji: Welcome to the Jungle. Then he did Rampage and Skyscraper in 2018. Then 2019 they had Fighting with My Family, Shazam, Fast and Furious Presents Hobbs and Shaw, and Jumanji: The Next Level. Like so he's still in like 2 to 3 films
Yeah,
a year. Like most recently he was in
Black Adam.
uh, Black Adam, DC League of Super Pets. He was in in the recent Fast and Furious, Red Notice, Free Guy, Jungle
He was
Cruise.
great in
Like
Red Notice.
he's just in everything, man. Like he's everywhere. And I've definitely gotten tired of seeing him in everything because at a certain point you just sort of run out of patience. I think my favorite performance from The Rock is in The Other Guys,
Oh
like in that
yeah,
like
yeah.
brief. I think he's actually really great in that. But yeah, Moana. We also Jermaine Clement as the crab, whose name I've literally forgotten. How have I forgotten? Tamatoa.
Yeah.
Fucking Christ. Who was like completely absent from the marketing.
He
Because I
was
didn't see
like
this
one of
when
the
it came
best
out.
parts of the
I didn't see Moana when it came out, but I remember when I went back to school, a few people I knew were just singing "Shiny" over and over again because they had all seen it, obviously.
shiny, shiny like a diamond in the rough. Drop my
Yeah,
star. Yeah, I fucking love that song.
yeah. I mean, I'm a big Jermaine Clement fan.
I
From
love
from what we know
Flight
in
of
the
the Concords.
Shadows. yeah, and the Flow of the Concords music I've seen, and yeah, What We Do in the Shadows. I think Jermaine Clement's really great. Yeah, and I also think I don't want to try and pronounce her name because I'm definitely going to get it wrong. But the main girl who voices Moana, I think she's also very great in it as well. Yeah, I think I think the music done by Lin Manuel Miranda. This is probably my favorite music from Lin Manuel Miranda because I think Disney is very good at sort of holding him back a bit and sort of like
limiting his Lin Manuel Miranda-ness.
Yeah, like they sort of pull him back, so he just sort of because he can't. Because I'm not the biggest fan of Hamilton, if I'm being completely honest. Of what I've listened to, I'm just not a big fan of the songs. They're just not my kind of thing, really, and they just feel very self-indulgent. And I think that Moana is probably his best work as a lyricist and songwriter and everything. Yeah. I think what is my favorite song from Moana? What do I think?
Welcome. It's gonna be Welcome. Shiny's great, but you're
I was gonna maybe
welcome.
go How Far I think it's a great song. I just don't think The Rock's a very good singer. I think
Welcome to
it's
think
I
of
think
it.
it's a very great song. Like, don't get me wrong. I think it's a very, very great song. And it would be it's just that, yeah, I don't think The Rock is a particularly great singer. Doesn't ruin it. I wouldn't say he ruins it. I just am like,
I
he's
don't think
not
Maui's
that.
supposed to be a great singer though. I think the whole point is that like he's braggadocious enough to think that he can. He's like, what can I say except you're welcome? It's like, oh, that's such like a cool. It's cool because it's like done well. But yeah, How Far I'll Go, great song.
Yeah, like again, I think all the music is really great in it. So I imagine you heard they're doing a live action remake.
Yeah,
I hate that.
I don't love
First
it.
of all, I don't see the point in remaking a film that's not even 10 years old yet.
I really don't want to
Like with
see a
the other
big
one.
live action Jermaine Clement crab.
Well,
Like,
that's you haven't seen the new fucking Little Mermaid yet, have you?
no, I've never seen Little Mermaid.
Oh, okay. Well, the go watch the original. It's good, but this new remake, it's the oh mate, the crab in it. It looks awful.
Crabs kind of freak me out just in general. They're just like water spiders when you think about it.
Yeah. I just think this film. I also really like how this film doesn't really have a traditional villain because you've got Tamatoa, but you've also there's sort of that reveal that this big like fire demon monster is actually just meant she's had the heart of Tafiti, I think is what it's called. It's
Yeah,
like been taken from her, and I think that's really great actually. I think because as much as I love a really great just campy villain, I also do really like when there's a bit more depth to the villains and you've got a bit more.
yeah. There was no real villain. The crab, like again, Jermaine Clement Crab is kind of just like a stopping point. Like he's only a small part of the film. You just go, you go. He's like the garter of the thing. You just get it off him basically.
Yeah, exactly. He's
But
just sort of an obstacle in their way.
the villain is just kind of the obstacles. Yeah, it's and time's the villain because they've got to do it
I
before their fucking
fucking
island
yeah,
dies. So
yeah, exactly. I I fucking love Moana, dude. I think it's great. I honestly, it's easily top 10 Disney for me. And yeah, we are tying this episode into the release of Wish. Yeah, as I mentioned before, some people have seen it. Early reviews, early buzz. Well, not really buzz. It seems to be airing on the slightly more negative side of reviews. Like it and I want to like it because I want to like what Disney makes because I do like a lot of their films. I've heard that I haven't listened to any of the music yet, but I've heard that there's like a proper villain song again because they haven't like done a sort of traditional Disney villain in a while. Like they don't like Encanto doesn't really have a villain in
oh,
it.
I've heard the I sorry, I've heard bits of the villain song. I've heard it's god awful.
I am half tempted to listen to some of the songs beforehand just to see like what it is because yeah, I don't think I've heard any great things about them, about the songs really. So I'm definitely interested in seeing it. But I just don't think the animation looks that great. It feels like it's trying to sort of do what Spider Verse and Puss in Boots and that have done, just not as good because it just doesn't. It looks a bit shit.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
because yeah, we've talked about this. You know, Spider Verse. The animation is fucking on another level. You know, the animation in the Spider Verse films. Puss in Boots. The animation in Puss in Boots is incredible. Even the new Ninja Turtles, I thought the animation was really great. You know, I just think that yeah, we wish but we will hopefully at least someone will be able to see it in time for the review of the year, so we can discuss it then. But yes, thank you all so much for listening to this week's episode. I hope you enjoy. Thank you again, Harry, for joining me for this week's
Absolutely.
episode. Yeah, go back listen to go back and listen to all the other episodes. 130 plus episodes I've done of this show so far. Like you've got hours and hours of content to listen to. So go back and listen to them. Harry's done a fair amount, like most of the ones in the last year or so.
I'd say probably
Uh,
about
yeah.
50, maybe just a bit under.
But yeah, thank you all for listening to this one, and I'll see you all in the next one. Goodbye.